Hey, Derek Keet, Remax Elite.
And Mark DeMong from 97th Street Law.
Thanks, Mark. And today we're talking about just title transfers, right? So we're talking about the time, can you do it yourself, risks, and whatnot, all right? So before we get started, please like, subscribe, give us that thumbs up. We appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So first of all, what is the title, I guess, and why is it transferred, or how does this work for the people that might not know kind of the basics, but yeah, we'll cover that just quickly, yeah.
Sure. Now, this is one where I can get going down on many different rabbit holes.
Right.
But we'll hit the highlights, I guess, first. So first of all, what is a title?
Yep.
A title is essentially a piece of paper that is assigned to the owner of any particular property anywhere in the province of Alberta, and of course every other province in the Dominion of Canada. Now, that title will indicate a couple of different things. First of all, the registered owners, their names, and then an address in order to contact the persons who are on that title as owners. That title will also list any encumbrances against the title, and the most common encumbrances are a mortgage. If the person on title borrowed money to buy the home, there will be a registered mortgage. There will also be registrations for things like utility rights of way, so that a person, so that the homeowner can actually access the power, gas to the house.
Right.
So those will often show on the title as well. Now, the idea of doing a title transfer, what does that mean? Well, the most common scenario for people who want to do a title transfer is often when the generation above us, our parents or aunts, uncles, grandparents, want to do what we call estate planning. So they want to change ownership of the title of the land to give a gift to the next generation, to their children.
Right.
And so one of the questions that you mentioned was, can this be done by a person on their own? Sure, it can.
Right.
The challenge that a lot of people have is that this is the only transfer of land that they're going to be filling in their lifetime. And there are a bunch of different things. The document itself is created under, generally speaking, the Land Titles Act, but it is affected by about 3 or 4 other pieces of legislation instantly in the document. And so without training and background and understanding these things, you can randomly just fill the thing in and hope for the best. And then if, I guess pre-COVID, one of the things that the land titles clerks would do is guide people through these documents. But post-COVID, that's becoming more of a challenging thing. The clerks don't like to, it's not a service that they're paid to provide ultimately, to work people through the documents. The documents are there. If a person fills them out correctly and shows up at the land titles office, the clerks will register it if you pay the appropriate fee, but they don't like to spend their days at the front desk guiding people through filling
Well, the other problem is the time, right? So it's like we were saying before. Now, Edmonton right now is good. In the past, the 6 months, we had the 6 months period where it was taking that long for titles to go through. And if you're doing it yourself, you really, like, imagine you're trying to learn how to fill it out, learn how to do all these things, learn where it goes, learn how to submit it. And if you're doing it once, that's a lot of work, right? And the other problem is, if you didn't do it right, then it also causes that problem as well. But I think the biggest thing as well is, I guess if it's between family members, then there's, like, I hope, I don't know, there's many families out there, but I would hope that you have that trust, right? Where it's like, I trust if it's gifted, okay, but if it's a payment is happening, then you're transferring everything, and there's a lot of complications there, right?
Well, that's right, and good point. The thing that I hadn't considered is, what if a person is selling their own property and the buyer is prepared to pay cash, and the buyer says to the seller, okay, well, I don't want to, let's save the money on lawyers and realtors, let's not do that. Let's just do it ourselves. And so the seller goes ahead and correctly, let's say, prepares the transfer of land, and it's submitted for registration. Now, when does the buyer pay the cash?
Correct.
Does
right?
the buyer
Before or after? right.
And
it's already been transferred, and the hope that they pay, or right?
Exactly. And
or they pay before and hope that they transfer, right? You kind of have to.
And then, so both of those examples. So the buyer pays first, and so the seller is happy, but submitted an incorrect transfer of land. It gets bounced, and meanwhile the seller has either disappeared or dies. And so what does
Right,
the buyer
right.
do in that case? Well, the buyer can pay money because money is the solution to a lot of problems.
Right.
But the buyer then has to lawyer up and get that title corrected, and just.
Well, then you're looking at the whole estate thing, and there's a lot of stuff that could happen in that situation as well.
Yeah, and you just don't want to go there. That fix alone, I guess it would start at about $3,000 and finish maybe in the $10,000 to $15,000 to get everything corrected. And I guess the alternative is that the buyer keeps the money until the title issues, but then once the title issues, now the buyer has lost the money, or a judgment is registered against the buyer at that, and the cash that he was going to use to pay has been seized. So again, that's a problem that as a seller you don't want to go. So in that case, go see the lawyer, have the lawyer sit in and get that part addressed.
Yeah, personally, I have done it once myself. I had my parents and their house, and we did it. But I guess the problem was, it wasn't even a problem with the paperwork. It was an unknown problem, where basically the lawyer, he did a virtual contract, he confirmed their IDs, everything virtually, right? And when he did it, he forgot to strike out one of the lines. So, and then what happened is just the things that you wouldn't even think of. Send in all the paperwork perfectly fine, because I was like, oh, we'll kind of make this work. Of course, it's my parents, there's complete trust there. But then I submitted the paperwork, it was wrong. They sent it back, and it was COVID, I didn't check my mail. So the date that I had to fix the documents had passed. So then I'm running around doing everything and trying to make it work. Eventually it all worked out. And then, like I was saying before, then the other thing was like, when does it finish? How long does it take? You don't know the answers to any of these questions, right? So the idea is that it was a lot of work, and I'm kind of like, okay, at first I thought, I fill out a paperwork and send it, right? But in the end, it had to physically be given to the office, and with that, when you're submitting that, you need to fill out another form that has to be all the check marks and whatever has to be done, and so there's a lot that goes into it as well. So
it can be as easy as fill in the blanks and submit it. I have a brother-in-law who went through law school, and and his answer is, what do I do all day? He tells me that I just fill in forms. That's all you lawyers do, is fill in forms. Well, yeah, there's a little bit more than that, Derek.
For sure. And it's also knowing how and where, and knowing all of these sort of things, right? And there's all that stuff, like you said, that's even if you did it correctly, right? So if you submit everything not correctly, well, then you're
back to square one to a certain extent, and as you mentioned, that can lead to more and more delays, especially if you're waiting for 6 months for the initial document to be processed.
Right.
Now, there was something that crossed my mind when we were dealing with title transfer that we would say is for estate planning. Did you want to get into some of the rabbit holes on estate planning transfers? Estate planning transfers.
Let's save that for another video.
Sounds good.
But let's stop this here, and thanks, guys. We'll stop there on title transfers. Thanks.
Okay. Have a great day.